Welcome to Ditch the Scale Masterclass. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am beyond excited to share this information with you, and I truly value your time. So let's just go ahead and dig in. So just take a moment and consider what brought you here today. And maybe you have a knee-jerk answer, or maybe you just kind of had a curiosity and you're not exactly sure. Either way, that's fine. We are going to immediately clarify if you are in the right place. So hopefully you're here because you want to improve your relationship with food and your body, but you're just not sure where to start. So this could be for a variety of reasons, but the two kind of key points are that maybe there's just too much information, and sifting through all this well-being information can be frustrating and overwhelming. Or maybe you don't trust yourself, and often this information is designed to get you to follow rules rather than to listen to yourself. It could also be for a reason other than this, but ultimately you're just kind of in a kind of maybe repeat pattern or a stasis point, and you're feeling a bit stuck. So you are most definitely in the right place. If you are serious about making sustainable changes, you are ready to heal your relationship with food and your body, and you are willing to prioritize wellness over body weight. You are committed to ongoing self-care. You are able to look inward and self-assess, and you are capable of enjoying the journey. So if you resonate with all or most of those, then you are likely in the right place to stick around for this masterclass. And we are probably not a good fit if you are looking for a quick fix. You're not interested in improving your body image or your relationship with food. If you are seeking weight loss above all else, we're not going to be a good fit. And if you are unwilling to look inward, or you value following external rules. So just to expand on that a little bit further, I think this quote by Einstein summarizes it beautifully. He says that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. So I kind of think of that as related to body weight and body image and food relationships, as we can either be problem focused, and that's where your weight is most important and you are constantly trying to control and fix yourself, or we can be solution focused, and that's where your mindset and your habits are most important, and you use curiosity and compassion to self-direct. So if you are interested in kind of turning over a new leaf, having a fresh start in the direction of being solution focused, then you are definitely in the right place. So if you're deciding to stick around, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Jill, and I'm a wellness coach with a bachelor's degree in lifestyle management. And over a decade, probably going on 2 decades, which is scary to say that, of experience helping people feel better in their bodies. And I became certified as an intuitive eating coach, so I could help others heal their relationship with food and their bodies. And I have a deep understanding of the painful emotions that can surface when you feel disconnected from yourself. And intuitive eating is just kind of one component and one way to bring yourself back into alignment. And if you're not familiar with intuitive eating, it is a paradigm that can help you heal your relationship with food and your body. It is grounded in self-care and based on 10 guiding principles designed to help you listen inward so that you can make choices in alignment with your body and your own unique set of circumstances. So very different than following a diet that has a set of rules and kind of very rigid parameters about not even your relationship with food, but actually what to eat. So there are 10 kind of fundamental or underlying guiding, guidelines, we'll call them principles, that inform this self-care methodology related to your food life. So you can see what they are here. We're not going to go into them in any detail in the scope of this masterclass, but this is just to give you a taste of what those principles are if you're not familiar with them. So the first one is to reject the diet mentality, to recognize that that's no longer serving you, to honor your hunger, so being in tune with your body's own intrinsic signals. Making peace with food means that we are not going to name and blame any food group as the bad guy. Challenge the food police means to challenge both those external and internal food messages that are shame-oriented. Feeling your fullness is the flip side of honoring your hunger. And then discovering the satisfaction factor is just getting back to that enjoyment and the satisfaction and sensory aspects of food. And coping with your emotions without using food, that's a huge area. Obviously gets a lot of blame for excess body weight, I guess, to just put it bluntly. Respecting your body is coming from a place of acceptance. We start from acceptance. That doesn't mean you have to like what's going on, but to truly make change, you have to come from a place of deep acceptance and respect and care. And then, of course, exercise and gentle nutrition are part of this paradigm as well, but they are placed on a foundation of healthy mindset, and that there's more emphasis placed on how you go about doing these things rather than what specifically you do. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of the intuitive eating principles. And I think it's really important that we just take a moment and frame the question, what's the relationship between intuitive eating and healthy weight? So intuitive eating, I just want to be absolutely clear, is grounded in self-care, and body weight is not the primary focus in it. The primary focus is in creating healthy mindset and habits that may lead to weight loss if you actually are wanting or needing to lose weight. And that weight loss, or gain even for that matter, if you're underweight, kind of allows to come into equilibrium based on how you're treating your body. So weight, or even healthy weight, I've put that in parentheses, and you'll see why in just a moment here, because that's a loaded term, I feel like, is you're basically the relationship between, so to summarize it, the relationship between intuitive eating and so-called healthy weight is that your weight is going to be secondary, and it will be influenced by the behaviors and the mindset that you choose to engage in. And it is not the primary focus, if that makes sense. So it kind of goes back to that problem focus versus solution focus. So to clarify that kind of notion of healthy weight a little bit further, if we look at one end of the spectrum, which is super, super clinical, we could look at the CDC, the Center for Disease Control's definition of healthy weight. So if you're not familiar with BMI, BMI is body mass index, and it is simply a height to weight ratio. So even with BMI, it's very crude, meaning that your body weight is made up of all kinds of things. It's made up of water, body fat, your bone mass, your muscle mass, all kinds of things come together to make up your body weight. And really, weight and the scale is such a crude way of assessing your body composition. So the gold standard for assessing body composition is done kind of in a laboratory setting, and it uses air or water displacement to measure your body density, basically how much fat tissue you have versus everything else. And it's not practical for most of us to access that. I've been lucky enough to work in a setting where I did have access to that, which was quite cool, but it's not necessary and it's not even practical for most people. So sure, there's other kinds of ways of assessing body composition, and I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but my point is that even just talking about weight is a super kind of crude approach, because it doesn't even take into account your body composition, if that makes sense. So BMI is just a height to weight ratio. So again, there's no body composition involved. So the Center of Disease Control has laid out these guidelines based on kind of, just data, the science of risk, health, disease indicators, all of that kind of sciencey stuff. So if your BMI is less than 18.5, it falls within the underweight range. If your BMI is 18.5 to 24.9, it falls within the normal healthy weight range. And if your BMI is within 25 to 29.9, it falls within the overweight range. And if your BMI is 30 or higher, it falls in the obese range. So if you're not familiar with BMI, and if you're curious and if you can approach it from a place of just curiosity, you can just look up BMI and find a BMI calculator online. But I actually would like to also balance this perspective, which is super clinical and super objective, with my own definition of healthy weight. And this is a constant work in progress. And I would say this is much more aligned with the intuitive eating paradigm. And so I feel like my definition of healthy weight is a body shape and size maintained with ease when consistently engaging in sustainable habits related to food, movement, stress management, etc. And again, this is absolutely a work in progress. So it's fluid. It's not concrete. So I would just like for you to maybe think, you don't have to go in depth with it right now, but maybe as we move forward through the rest of these slides, and then also as you leave this masterclass today and just kind of sit with your feelings about it and the general sense about if it resonates with you, think about what your definition of a healthy weight would be for yourself. It could include things like feeling like my body is, that I'm inside my body, that I'm in the center of my body, or that I occupy the full volume of my body, whatever that is, that I'm able to go about my daily activities with ease, or that it could include that maybe, my blood pressure is managed and my metabolic syndrome is under control, or whatever it is. It can be your unique definition. I just want you to recognize that if you get hyper vigilant or so caught up in either using the term weight and then also coupling it with this very, very narrow view of BMI, that ultimately that it's just a small piece of the puzzle, like a small snapshot. And I guess ultimately what I would like you to think about is, does that serve you? Does that serve you to just wear a label such as my BMI is X, and then how does that make you feel? And then does that feeling actually make you want to go about engaging in healthy mindset and healthy behaviors to induce change? So give that a thought as we go forward, and as you go about your day, just kind of what your definition of a healthy weight is, very specific to you. I think it's also super important to keep in mind that weight is multifaceted. And so I guess this is maybe a little confusing because I talked about it being multifaceted in terms of its literal aspects, like its components, like bones, muscles, organs, water, and everything. But by this, I mean it's multifaceted in terms of what factors influence your body weight. So things such as food, of course, anything from quantity of food, just food in general, how you go about eating, your culture. So your food culture is both personal and communal, I would say. And so there's like, you could think of it as rings. There's the culture that's very much like even outside of the home that you grew up in, but then there's the culture within your family of origin, the food culture, which we explore more. And then there's also your personal food culture, and you can influence this. So sometimes, like anything, we get brought up with a set of within a system, and if we don't ever question if that's working for us, then it's very just like tunnel vision, and we keep doing things that aren't serving us. So your physiology absolutely is a piece of that multifaceted aspect. Your mindset, so the things that you tell yourself about food in your body absolutely influence your behavior. Movement, of course. So even within movement, we break that down into like very kind of focused exercise versus just how important it is to have daily movement and enjoy movement, finding love and joy of movement again. Your environment absolutely shapes that, and your beliefs about mindset and beliefs are kind of interrelated, I feel like, but it's all there. Your stress level affects not only your kind of thinking, but it also affects your physiology. So it's important to look at all of these things. And something that I think dieting culture really misses is that it attacks food and it makes food the bad guy. And there's very savvy reasons, like monetary reasons, as to why that is the case in the diet industry. Ultimately because that way of doing things is not sustainable, so it's monetarily successful. But if you look at this big picture, you can see that there's so many kind of angles to be curious about. And it's so important to keep in mind that weight is only one aspect of health. I know that it is very kind of mainstream to assume things either about yourself or about other people based on their body weight. And quite frankly, that is discrimination. It is not size inclusive, and it is super assumptive to assume that because someone's body shape or size is one way or another, that they are or are not engaging in health sustaining and health promoting behaviors. And quite frankly, it's no one's business. So it's just, important to keep in mind that weight is only one aspect of health. So as we move forward through the rest of these slides, we're going to talk first a little bit about some painful patterns that have maybe led you to this point that you have decided to join me today. And then we're going to talk about your food story as it is right now. And then we're going to talk about moving forward. So painful patterns, they require both awareness and accountability for change to occur. You have to take ownership of them, essentially. And this could be, anything could be a painful pattern. So I've just picked a few here that you might identify with. So one is literally hitting diet bottom. So if you have a history of dieting and you've had that adrenaline rush of trying something new, which kind of is part of what makes dieting so enticing, but it's also what makes it so disappointing, is because it's very black and white. And we talk a lot about that black and white mindset in the way that I coach healthy weight, using the intuitive eating model as a component of that. And so it's super painful because it gets you hooked in. That diet culture gets you hooked in because it promises results, but behind the results and the number on the scale is this unspoken promise about how it's going to make you feel about yourself. And that actually comes first. How you feel about yourself is what sets the tone for how you treat yourself. You could even argue that the way that you treat yourself, if it's done in a very, I'm not black and white, so I could see it going both directions essentially. But what I'm saying is that if you arbitrarily throw external things at your body and expect it to ever end well, it's going to lead to disappointment. It's not sustainable. And then it keeps you hooked, and it's almost like a weird addiction in a way. So, and then it does have real impact on your physiology, I would say. So another painful pattern could just be the obsessive thoughts. Like, even if you're not actually engaged in diet behavior, you could just be super preoccupied with food and your body in ways that are unhelpful. So ways that lead you to be distracted from other things that you need to do during the day, other things that you enjoy, because so much of your bandwidth is actually tied up with this preoccupation, this kind of obsessive thought patterning about, oh, what to eat, what to not eat, oh, what is the best exercise, what's not the best exercise, like what's the best time to do stuff, like all that kind of anxiety-provoking chatter about it. Or even obsessive thoughts about when am I going to fit it in, and all of that. Distraction is absolutely another painful pattern. I mean, if you get up in the morning and you don't choose to be super intentional about how you go about your day, you are bombarded with distractions. If you literally engaged in everything that came at you without being intentional about if you even want to engage with it, you are pulled in so many directions that how could you even possibly think that you would have the capacity to simply do something as basic as make a shopping list or a menu plan, So being intentional and choosing to be intentional and stepping outside of the default mode of distraction that keeps you kind of stuck and in a pain pattern is very important. Overwhelm applies to our food life as well. It can just be overwhelm in terms of choices, product choices. It can be overwhelm in terms of just how to fit attention to your food life into your overall day. And then, of course, mental health, depression and anxiety, or any other host of mental health concerns can be underlying issues that are causing you pain, literal pain. And I don't really differentiate, emotional pain and physical pain. I feel like they're all kind of wrapped up together in a very kind of mind, body, spirit way in the way that I think about that. So painful patterns do not need to keep you stuck. You can reclaim ownership of your experience, specifically in your food life. And the thing is that food is so fundamental. I mean, it is like the universal connector. Everyone eats food. And so if you feel calm and grounded in something so fundamental in your life, that has real impact and spillover in a healthy way to other areas of your life. So we're going to take a moment now and we're going to dive into your own food story. So your self-talk, helpful or not, related to your food life, contributes to your food story. Your food story, just to give you an example, could be something like, ugh, I never look after myself. I always wait till I'm too hungry and then I overeat. And then once I overeat, I feel super bloated. And then because I'm feeling emotionally down, I actually I turn to food again. I eat dessert. I mean, that's very biased towards one side. Your food story could also be a little more balanced. It could be that, I'm pretty good about looking after myself. I usually stop what I'm doing and eat something when I'm hungry and then stop when I'm kind of satisfied, but I am having trouble in the planning aspect. And so when it comes to dinner, I'm out of ideas and I simply just have lost my creative mojo. Or it could be anything, you know? So we're going to take a moment here to just spark some awareness in your food story. So go ahead and pause me if you need to, and you're going to grab a writing utensil and a piece of paper, and we're going to explore this a little bit. So I want you to kind of answer these questions. So the first one is, what is your very first memory of food? It could be something that you were able to feed yourself, or maybe something, if you have a really good memory, that someone fed you. It might have a really kind of happy, energetic quality around it of joy, or it might not be. It might be that you were forced to sit at the table until you finished a food that you absolutely detested. And then, what was the food culture like in your family growing up? Did you grow up in a family that was large with lots of siblings, and so there was competition for food? Or did you grow up in a family that used food to express love? Or maybe in a family where you were forced to clean your plate, or told that starving children would suffer if you didn't eat the food on your plate? All kinds of things can influence the food culture in your family. And then, what are some of the things that you say to yourself about food? And I kind of gave a few examples of that. And then, how does all this affect the way that you feel about food in your body? Does it leave you feeling kind of empowered or disempowered? Does it leave you feeling like you're just regurgitating a set of beliefs that aren't even yours? Maybe you have a strong sense of ownership over it, maybe not. And then think about, what would an ideal day in your food life look like? Kind of from beginning to end. If you mapped it out, I realize that you may need some time to come back to this. So even if you just pause this and jot down the questions, you can explore it a bit further. But what would an ideal day in your food life look like? Would it involve a light breakfast, or maybe not? Would it involve shopping on a daily basis, or would it involve a menu plan for the week, or would it involve a nice meal out with friends once a week, or would it focus mostly on home cooked meals? I have no idea. It's super personal. So just think about what an ideal day in your food life might look like. And then, if you can kind of use this exploration about your food story in conjunction with that exploration about your own definition of healthy weight, you might start to just question some things and notice a little bit of an intrinsic shift that is kind of like, oh, that is a different angle. And that actually, that paradigm that I've been existing in perhaps is not serving me. So moving forward, so that you can heal your relationship with food in your body, I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit. So this is just a little bit of a personal story. So this is me just a couple years ago. So I'm in my 40s now, and this is me at the beach here, the local beach, Tatahi Bay in Wellington, New Zealand. And I look at this picture and I go, oh my God, that is an awesome picture. I'm here doing a little bit of Pilates, body exploration. It was a beautiful day. I think my young son took this photo, and I was just absolutely enjoying myself. And you know what? There was a time when I would have looked at this photo. I mean, I come from a contemporary modern dance ballet background. I would have looked at this photo and been mortified about the roll on my stomach, my saggy boobs, my hangy triceps. Like, And you know what? What's so funny is that some of you watching this are going to look at this photo and go, oh my God, that is amazing. And some of you are going to look at this photo and induce your own body shame onto me, which is super interesting when it comes to kind of body dysmorphia and warped body image. So I can truly say that, yeah, I certainly have bad body days, but now at age 44, going on 45, I feel like I am so much better able to relate to my body in terms of caring for it and all the amazing things that it can do that facilitate the joy of movement that I truly have. I, when I even sometimes think, would I want my 20-year-old body again with my six-pack abs? And I thought, did I even want to share a photo with you? And I thought, no, I actually didn't, because this feels like the right body for me for this phase of life. And when I think about my body image, then in that body, it wasn't terrible, but I was so critical of myself. Oh, the cellulite on my legs, and just I have no boobs, and just the critical self-talk. So much of that I've had to approach from a different angle as I've gotten older, and I've always continued to engage in activities that I absolutely love. And being able to move with ease has become so much more important to me. And I always feel like what beauty is to me is being at the center of whatever your body is at the moment, being inside it 100%. And that's kind of confidence as well. And that's like filling up the whole volume of it, occupying all of the space, because inducing change does not happen by being outside of ourselves. Change happens when you are central to yourself. So even if you did look at body weight in a real clinical way and said your whole body was going to shrink, that happens by being in the center of it, and the whole volume reduces. It doesn't happen by being outside of yourself and combating it, being combative with it. So I hope that makes sense. That's just a little bit of my own kind of personal arrival at more compassion and self-acceptance as I have been confronted with life and getting older, and being mature and being comfortable in my skin. So I'd love you to meet Louise. She is not only a client of mine, but she is also an amazing friend. And this is what she has had to say. Just one of the super sweet things that she has had to say about engaging with me in this way. So Jill's courses in intuitive eating provided a new and refreshing perspective to wellness, healthful eating, and mindfulness. She organized a supportive group and fostered trust within it. I benefited greatly from her professionalism and expertise. I have worked so hard to not have weight be my measure of feeling good about myself. All my rational thinking about food and wellness and everything are because of her help. As an educator of teachers, I also appreciated her natural teaching skills and the learning environment she created. So I don't want to bombard you with testimonials. I just think one is sufficient to give you a little bit of a glimpse how, sometimes we discount the impact of one person's story and one person's transformation. So just let that settle in, and hopefully it resonates. And so I'm, of course, just going to introduce you to my program that kind of encompasses all of these concepts that I've introduced you to today. So the name of my program that I'm so excited to share with you is called NOURISH. And it is a truly soul nourishing program designed to help you heal your relationship with food and your body. And it is a hybrid program. So by that, I mean, it is a combination of my course, which is called Heal Your Food Story, which largely is related to those intuitive eating principles that I introduced. It's a 12-module self-paced course, and you would have access to that like all the time. It's, like I said, go at your own pace. And then it's combined with healthy weight coaching. So Healthy weight coaching, I think of that is a little bit broader than intuitive eating coaching. So yes, I am an intuitive eating coach, but that is one component, excuse me, of healthy weight coaching. So again, it is the course combined with coaching, and the coaching, I'll get more specific here in just a second. So let's just jump into that. So I'm going to keep it so simple. I know this probably defies all weird sales tactics, but I don't care. I'm just super excited to get this out to you. I'm passionate about it, and I want it to be accessible. So the basics, the nuts and bolts, are that you can access a call with me for 15 minutes. And that what that is for, it is not a pressured sales call. Absolutely. I'm a terrible salesperson. So it's not that. It is an opportunity for you and I to simply see if we are a good fit for each other based on a little application that you fill out prior to booking that. And it is an opportunity for you to ask me any questions about the program if you felt like if they're not covered in this masterclass. And then if you would like, I am happy to show you a preview literally inside the course. So inside the course, and then just kind of walk you through how you book those sessions and how it all works, because it can be kind of overwhelming. And if you're going to make a monetary commitment like that, I think that you want to feel confident about how the actual logistics of it are going to flow even. So, and then that includes a 1-hour onboarding session. That's a group onboarding session just to make sure that you, so that's once you've purchased the program. So the 15-minute taster is prior. That's zero pressure, just to see if you're interested in purchasing the program. If you purchase it, then there's one onboarding session to get you all settled in nicely. And then you have access, as I mentioned, to the 12-session self-paced online course. And then you will have access to me for 6 30-minute solo coaching sessions, and also 12 1-hour group Q&A sessions. And then there's also a free community connected to the course, right inside the course. And I pop into that and contribute as well. So the bottom line is that that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's all delivered virtually, if I didn't mention that. And I feel like the price point that I've arrived at, I feel like it is super clear. And I feel confident of how I arrived at that. So if you feel like you have questions about that, I would actually be happy to break that down with you in that 15-minute taster session as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention that those coaching sessions, you have a year to use those. So the course you have access to forever, basically. The coaching sessions, you have 1 year to use those. So some of the transformations that you can expect from engaging with me and my energy and this content are increased self-trust, specifically around food, but I would add that that extends to other areas of your life as well. Improved mindfulness, decreased preoccupation with food and your body, and then that just frees up energy for you to focus on other things in your life. And that also spills over into other areas of your life running smoother. You know, when you're kind of feeling confident in your body and in the way that you're looking after yourself, that's the foundation. And then everything else is much easier. And of course, I think you've experienced that today. I hope just a fresh perspective on food and eating and wellness in general. A perspective that doesn't make you feel labeled or that you're doing something wrong or shame-based, and that you're allowed to just show up as you are. And, you know, we can be both perfect and imperfect at the same time. And so all you need to do if you're interested in moving forward, I would be so honored, is to book a free zero pressure taster with me. That's just that 15-minute session. There's a link below this video. And so that will take you to the application. It is an application with literally about 3 to 5 questions just to help me see if we're a good fit, and that kind of helps frame the conversation for the call going forward. So you'll just complete that little bit of an application. Again, there's no pressure. You're not signing up for anything. And then you would complete the application, and then that will take you to my calendar to book a 15-minute call with me. I am in New Zealand, but the calendar should convert time zones if all is moving smoothly, and it was when I tested it. So I hope that kind of settles in well with you today. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate your time. And you know what? If this is as far as it goes and you're not ready to book something right now, that's totally fine as well. There's, sometimes we just need a kind of bit of stewing before something feels like it is going to be set in motion. So I think chances are, if you stuck around for this entire masterclass, there is something here that's resonating. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to meeting you. Take care, and bye for now.